This is our last one dealing with discipleship. So we're going to do is review, kind of go through it, and then if you have questions, again, if you have a question as we're going through, because what I'm wanting to do is get it to be pretty established in your mind. That way you understand it. I'm not saying that you have to do this, but all I'm trying to do is get you to understand somewhat of how you're going to work on discipling somebody. That way it's understandable to you. That way then you can someday, hopefully, see somebody get saved. And even as we challenge some of you going home for the summer, or if those that live here, find somebody, ask God to lead you, see them get saved. And then one of the hardest things to do is that follow-up. And I think most of you might have a little bit of a introduction to that. I don't know. But some of you that have been here a number of years, or you've grown up here and you've worked through the bus ministry, some of that is discipleship. This is a little more advanced, but you've seen that even through the bus ministry. You have somebody and they come along, they may even get saved. It could be a younger child, but you're trying to help them. You're trying to help them, and then all of a sudden they stop coming for a little bit. You try to help them out, try to get them to come back. They may come back, and then they fall away again. And that's some of what discipleship is. So it is hard, and it's kind of being diligent at it, praying for them, finding out different things to do. So let's go and review. All right, so in your notes, I don't know how you're going to do your notes. You can figure it out, okay? But I'm going to go through each stage. We're going to talk through those steps that I'm doing as I start into it. So a lot of this is review, and then we're going to tie it all together. So we have that beginner level, the level 1, 2, and 3. Most of them have 3 different levels. Then the Bible scholar level, the Bible soldier level, the Bible servant. Each of them basically have 3 levels in it, and within those we have kind of 3 lessons that we're doing. Then before I get involved in this idea of discipleship, we looked at the Bible, Matthew 4 through 7, and I'm beginning with the time of prayer and fasting. I'm asking God to help me, give me wisdom. I want the Holy Spirit's guidance as I'm working with this person. I'm active and looking for people to reach. I have a list of items now of things I want to teach. That's why we made up a list. Hey, are there more things that can be taught? Yes, but you get past that, it's kind of overwhelming. Like, okay, what else? I mean, someone could come up with another list, that's fine, but that's 30 topics. And some of those topics, as you saw, I don't know that necessarily you're going to be able to do that in one lesson. All right, for instance, you want to teach them eventually how to disciple. We've been teaching all semester on it. Okay, besides soul winning and discipleship, or witnessing. Witnessing down here is one lesson. All right, again, we took about 7 or 8 lessons to go through soul winning. We're saying do 1. So there is, yes, there's preaching, there's other things that you can incorporate into it. And can you add to it? Go ahead, feel free. But what you're going to find is this list here is going to take you so long that it's 3 to 5 years probably. So we made a list, then we're bold in teaching the doctrines, and through that what we said is that sometimes what you're working on with somebody, they're not always going to like it, and that's why you're trying to get them tied to the Bible. It could be that you're dealing with somebody and you get to the point that now they have some addiction problem like alcohol. And it could be that they just like social drinking. And at some point, that's going to come up. At some point, there's going to be probably, if you're dealing with them for 3 to 5 years, at some point, you're going to have to deal with the idea of separation and some standards. And a lot of folks, that's why we're teaching on it, building up to next week. We're teaching on it to show that separation is a Bible doctrine. It's not just something that we've made up. But a good book. I'm going to even mention it tonight to the church. A good book to read in regards to that is Dr. Sorensen's book. I think it's called Broad is the Way. It's a whole study on the last kind of 7,500 years in regards to the Christianity and how did the neo-evangelicals come about, and kind of gives some ideas. In fact, tonight I'm reading a section of it that we were looking at this morning with our family, and a section of it, what he talks about is in the 50s, 60s, especially the 70s and 80s, what happened with the neo-evangelicals is they promoted this idea that you are not allowed to be negative. You cannot be negative. You are not allowed to say anything bad about anybody. Now, I understand, can there be people that are jerks when it comes to their tongue? Yes. Can they be over the top and basically not really scriptural? Their speech is not seasoned with grace. Yes. But biblically, does the Bible say that we should confront somebody when they're sinning as far as a fellow believer? Yes, it does. So then do it the Bible way. You don't toss the Bible and say, I'm not going to talk to him. Well, actually, then I'm disobeying the Bible. The solution is, because somebody talked wrong doesn't mean that now I don't talk. Maybe I should just correct the speech part of it. So there is some times when you're discipling that you're going to have to deal with somebody, and it's going to be a hard thing that you're going to have to deal with. What that'll do is make you go to the Bible to make sure you're dead on, because you're going to be scared to death. And that's good for us. It's good for us to go to the Bible and make sure of what we believe, because you know it's a little controversial. Then you better know about wine in the Bible or alcohol in the Bible. You better know about some abusive substances. You better know, as far as study a little bit about dress standards. Study some about music. It's going to come up. So study that so that when you're saying it, it's not just your thoughts, it's God's thoughts. And we want to make sure to be bold, though, in our teaching. All right, so we went through that. So let's now take the program and start thinking about it. Okay, so remember we said the first thing that happens is God led us to somebody, or we're in church and we lead someone to the Lord. What's the first thing that we're going to do after that? Yes. Baptism. We're going to try to get them baptized. All right, we're going to try to talk to them about it, make sure that they understand baptism. That could be a study in itself, but there's a lot of things out there. There's handouts, there's tracts, there's all kinds of different things that are there so that we can see them get baptized. Once they get baptized, either yourself or somebody else that, let's say that you're in charge in a ministry, and you want to have people that are, basically, you've helped them, you've gone through a lot of things with them about discipling. Right? For me, the guy that I meet with all the time is Dr. Mitchell. All right? So then Dr. Mitchell, though, he has a number of families in our church that he can call and say, hey, so-and-so just got saved. Can you take them under and work with them? All right, so if you're in charge, it may be you that you're going to do that, but it may be that at the start you're training somebody, because that's also disciple. They may have been in the church, they're saved for 20 years, but they don't really know necessarily a lot about discipling. So then take them along with you. What are you doing? You're training someone so that then they can split off sometime and they can disciple. So how do we start it up? That's what we talked about the last lesson. Towards the end, it's how do you do this? Okay, and we gave you a couple ways. So what were a couple of ways? I can line it up and say, all right, you just got baptized. I'd like to help you out. We kind of have some lessons. I think you'd like it. I could talk through it with you. But why don't we go grab a coffee or go grab something. Okay, what works best for you? In the afternoon, in the morning? Let's find a time and we'll get together. We'll take about a half hour and we'll talk it through. So it can be coffee. It could be, can I come to your house? And that, when you're starting out, probably it's going to be grab a coffee or go to your house. Okay, so I'm trying to get them, they've been baptized, now I'm starting up. So then I'm starting up in that beginner level. All right, for us, the beginner level is, we have 3 levels, so it's level 1. Level 1, we already have a booklet made up for that. That booklet is Brother Olson's book. It's called Next Step, The Next Step. So we can take that book and it teaches them on assurance, baptism, and church membership. It's all right there, right in that book. They've already been baptized, but there's nothing wrong with reiterating Bible to a person that's a new believer. No problem. Okay? You're not like, oh, I thought we already talked about baptism. It's okay. What's one of the keys to learning? Repetition. So we're some of the things that might be repeated a couple of times. That's okay. How many have read the Bible more than once? There's some of you not raising your hand, which is not a good thing, right? Because you're older and you haven't read the Bible more than once, which means you're a loser. Okay, I've read the Bible a lot. Okay, it's I at least read the Bible through once a year. I know that. There's some that do like 400. All right, I'm not one of those 400 a year, because I do like get out of my house once in a while. Okay. So there are some that read it a lot more, but and there's sometimes you're doing a specific study, so you read it a lot. Like for instance, if I'm studying a book to preach it, I read it a lot. So last fall I did a study on the book of James. So the book of James specifically I know over 50 times. Okay, part of it is I want that thing, as I call, percolating in my brain cells. All right, it's you're thinking about it over and over. So that's separate. When you're studying something, you're in it. You're thinking about it. But the Bible, you'd say, well, I mean, come on, couldn't you just read the book of James once and get it? All right, that's probably why you don't have really good grades. Okay, right? Because most of us we do not have that photographic memory. We have a memory, all right? It's not photographic, and it's not, there's other words that could be used for your memory, but photographic doesn't come to mind, okay? Maybe blank, okay? A blank memory. So we get the person, they're saved, they're baptized, now we want to start the study, and the first level is basically that Next Step book for us. So we already have it kind of made up. So what are we trying to do? And then, all right, I'm getting them to start that. And then those 3 lessons, I'm going to take that book and break it into 3 lessons for them. That's the job of the discipler. I'm gonna make it in bite-sized chunks for them. Does that make sense? I'm not, all right, here's a 400-page book, and it's not. Okay, really, the next step probably is about 30 pages. That's not overwhelming, but we're going to break it into about 10 pages each. That's it. Why? Because most of them, just getting into the Word of God is going to be hard at first. I want to develop some habits. You develop a habit by starting slow. So I'm going to break it into small things, and then I want to encourage them. So how did we say we're going to encourage them? So they're starting this lesson. I give them the booklet, and then Monday morning, let's say I met with them on Friday or Saturday. Monday morning, what am I going to try to do? Remember, it's a couple of things. Now I'm tying it all together. Monday morning, I'm the discipler. What am I going to try to do? I'm either going to text or email with some encouragement about that first level. Okay, there's 3 lessons. I'm going to encourage them. I might have a verse that deals with assurance. Hey, here's a verse out of God's Word. I thought you would enjoy it. Hope you're doing well with the lesson. If you need any help, let me know. What are you doing then? It's that touch. So that might be a text. It might just be a verse. Then a couple days later, and again, you'd say, oh, man, you just seem like you're harassing them. Well, I was there on Friday. Since Friday, let's say that they came just Sunday morning. So do you think anybody talked to them on Saturday? Yes. Do you think they came Sunday morning? Do you think anybody talked to them on Sunday afternoon? They live as a hermit up. No, there's people around, and let's say that they get back Sunday afternoon, and they're sitting down, and maybe some of their old buddies come over. What are they talking about? Oh yeah, I was at church, and they want me to do a Bible study. What do you think they're going to say? They're going to start pounding them. So when you're saying that, oh, I just don't know about harassing, guess what the devil in the world is doing? They are harassing them nonstop. They're pounding them, saying, why in the world? I mean, you were just at church. I mean, what in the world? Now all of a sudden, you're going to be reading the Bible all the time? So they're going to be harassing them. They're going to be putting pressure on them. So you need to help them get some strength and a backbone. And that means being there some and giving them some encouragement. So that's where a text or email on Monday or Tuesday. Hey, I'm glad I saw you on Sunday morning. Remember we talked about that lesson. Here's a verse that goes along with it. I thought it might encourage you. Then I send a follow-up. A couple days later, hey, when do you want me to stop by? And we can look through that again. What are we doing? We're keeping up with them. And it may be that you come up with your own incentive. Now, the way that we're looking at doing it, all right, remember the beginner level? I have 3 levels. I'm not going to have something after they finish one lesson. Like, here's a Snicker bar. All right, but it may be that you want to do that as a disciple. You say, all right, what motivates you? You sit down with them and help them. What motivates them? You want them to finish the course. So, level 1, at the end of it, now what we're doing is at the end of each level, in that beginner level, is we're going to have a bookmark that kind of goes along with that lesson, the lessons that they learned. So the first one is assurance, baptism, church membership. So we're going to have a bookmark that deals with assurance. And when they get done with the 3 lessons, when they finish the What's Next book, hey, here's this bookmark, and do you want to go out and coffee's on me? Something like that. It's just saying, hey, congratulations. And then it'll be kind of an email badge. Remember when we were joking about with different badges? Well, we're going to just have an email type thing saying, congratulations, you finished level 1 of the beginner level. And then if you don't hear anything for a little bit, then let's say a week goes by and nothing, or 2 weeks goes by and they finish level 1, then an email comes and says, hey, you did level 1. Are you wanting to do level 2? There's only 3 levels and you get a certificate. So for each main thing, there's a certificate. And with the certificate, what I'm going to recommend is the discipler, reward them a little bit. I like it. All right, and I'm saved. Okay? And if somebody's going to give me something, I'll take it. You'll give me something free? Yeah. What do we got to do? Okay? I don't mind a little incentive. I think all of us like that some. So within each level, what we're doing is kind of a bookmark. Maybe in the Bible, somewhere along, we're thinking at the beginner level, with the certificate, they also will get a Bible. Right? They will get a Bible. The Bible Scholar, because that's a little heavier. If you're looking at it, the Bible Scholar is Bible doctrines, the Holy Spirit, money in the Bible scholar. With that with each certificate, probably something a little bigger is going to be given. And part of it, if you think of beginner level Bible scholar, all right, here's a beginner level, they get a certificate, they've done 9 lessons through somebody working with them. More than likely, that's going to take them at least 12 weeks. So here's somebody worked through Scripture for probably 12 to 15 weeks. Giving them a Bible I'm like, yeah, I'll give them that. Then the next one, like the Bible scholar, all right, that's another probably 12 to 15 weeks of studying with somebody. So at that level, we're teaching them about Bible doctrines, some about the Holy Spirit. So more than likely, we're going to have a number of options for them of books, because I want them to start getting into books. Understand? It could be as simple as a Nave's Topical Bible or Strong's Concordance. Something, because what is it? Bible scholar. I'm trying to get them to get in the Word of God and understand it a little more. That may be a little heavy for them. So I might then say, well, you know what? I have a couple other books. I have a book on the Holy Spirit. I have a book on prayer. I have a book on this. If you want to have one of those, that's fine. So we have a couple of options for them. All I'm trying to do is help you understand as you're going through and teaching somebody, discipling them, don't leave them hanging. And what you may find through this is, all right, let's say we get through assurance baptism, church membership, we're clicking along, how to study the Bible. They're doing that pretty good. We get to prayer, and I have 3 lessons on prayer. And they're struggling with it. Then I just pause and help them a little more. That's the job of the discipler. The job of the discipler is that he is praying, he's in tune with this person, and every one of us know this. Everybody's different. Somebody may get the understanding of how to study the Bible that fast, but then when it comes to prayer, they're just like, man, I just don't get prayer. I mean, what do you mean about prayer? What? All right, so how do you do it? Well, then pray with them a little bit. Say, well, this is kind of how I do it. This is kind of how my prayer life is. My prayer life is this, and this is what I do. That may help them. It may be that you find a couple of sermons, and that's one of the things that we're working on through the summer, and actually in the fall, we're going to be teaching this pretty heavy to the church. And under each section, then we're going to have some resources. For instance, somebody that's discipling. Hey, here are a couple of sermons on prayer. If you want to study a little more during the week, here's a sermon. Here's the link for it. Listen to this. Here's a bunch of verses on prayer that'll help you. All right, does that make sense as you're going through it? What are we trying to do? We're trying, as the discipler, to help them to grow. And so at each level, we're giving them a certificate. Not at each level, at the main ones. And then at the end of each one, at the certificate, we're trying to give them something too. Why is that? We are using a little incentives. We're using a little incentives. Because who is fighting against them? The devil and the world. They are going to be pounding them, saying, "Don't get so involved. You know, you're being a little overboard here." You know, now they're saying they're showing you these Bibles here. It seems like all of a sudden you can't do anything. You can't have any fun. You can't do. And they're going to hear that nonstop. So you need to be, as the discipler, somebody helping them along that way. All right, so we have the beginner level. We're going through level 1, level 2, level 3. We're giving them the bookmarks. We're texting them. We're emailing them a couple of times through each level. We're breaking it down. Then I'm also incorporating what else with discipling. We talked about this. So I'm taking them for coffee. I'm going to their house. All right, let's say that here is beginner level and Bible scholar. between those two, you're probably talking at least 6 to 9 months that you're working with this person between those two levels. At least 6 to 9 months. It might take a year. It might take 6 months for the beginner level, 6 months for the Bible scholar. Okay, so what am I doing during the course of these things? All right, we mentioned it last week. Come on now. So I'm adding some things in myself. I am, hey, this level 2, you wanna come over to my house, and Friday nights we kind of do some things. We cook out. It's summertime. Why don't you just come over and we'll just hang out for a little while? What am I doing? I'm also trying to keep that relationship strong, and that's part of it. Do you see Christ doing that with his disciples? You do. Did he spend a lot of time? Yes, he did. There's a lot of time that you see there. And what are you seeing as a discipler? Someone that does it? Is it going to cost you to do this? Yeah, it will. Is it going to cost you time? Yes. Is it going to cost you money? Yes. Is it going to be some effort on your part? Yes. It's going to. And will it be that sometimes somebody quits on you? Did Judas? Yeah, he did. He quit on Christ. So what do? You just find somebody else to start working with. We have to be engaged in this person's life. So we might take them on an activity if we find out they like hiking or biking or something like that. We show them that, hey, the world and your friends are saying you can't do anything. Yes, we can. There's some things we can do. Let's go do something together. When do you have time over the next month? Let's find and do something together, and that'll help them. Then another big thing that you can do as you're growing, take them on a visit with you. Most of us do other visits. So what are some visits that you can do? You can take them to another believer that you're working with. They can share their testimony. Sharing your testimony actually helps you in solidifying some of the things you believe. Because as you're saying it, you're like, well, did I just say that? Did I just say that I read the Bible every day? I'm a liar. Okay. As they're talking about growing in the Lord or doing some of these things in the Bible, it'll help them. It encourages other believers that you might be working with. So that's one thing you can do. Taking them soul winning. Hey, do you have, we just go knocking on doors. Which is just a few of them. Just a couple maybe. That'll help you out. Another thing you can do is, let's say a hospital visit. Someone's in the hospital. Take them with you. Take them with you to the hospital and visit somebody. A member that is a shut-in, that really can't get out much. Both ways, it's an encouragement. So here's a whole bunch of things that you can do, and that can be incorporated almost in the lesson. Let's say that you're touching base with them every other week. You've done a lesson, and instead of just going to their house or them come to yours, or you meeting somewhere, you say, hey, you know what, I got a visit to do. Would you mind going with? And we can talk about it on the way there and on the way back. Okay, you're still discipling, you're still seeing them grow, but you're also you're helping them understand that service is part of being a Christian too. It's not just being a sponge. Okay, they're the spiritual sponge, and we've all, I think, had that illustration given to us, or we've experienced it in our basement with a sponge that sits full. What happens? Yeah, little righteous. Okay, it needs either thrown away or squeezed out or soaked in a whole bunch of bleach. Okay, so we're trying to help them. So we're taking that person with us to help them to grow. Visiting somebody a fellow believer. It could be door knocking. It could be seeing someone in the hospital, visiting a shut-in, or it could be even at a nursing home. Let's say that you know of somebody at a nursing home, just going there. Some of that, you're accomplishing a lot of different things there. You are talking. You are, you have other things to do, so you're able to do that too. But you're showing them that as a Christian, we serve. It's not just about us, and it's not just about them. Part of their job then is to start becoming engaged in the business of sharing Christ with others. And through this, all right, so we have that beginner level, the Bible scholar level. Through that, at some point, and we're working on this a lot too, and I think next spring actually we'll be teaching this. But then what you're doing is you're helping them to become a servant. And so what does that mean? You want them to get involved in the church more. So the reason we've been working on it, and then basically I want to teach the church this, what we've done is kind of broken down service within our church into about 4 or 5 different areas. Because I want them to grow in their service to the Lord. So, and some of it is the church folks understanding, I want to get them to start visiting, start soul winning. And there's an understanding out there that, well, you know what, this person doesn't have standards. They can't go soul winning. Well, I don't see that in the Bible, actually. But I would like them to represent God properly. So there's nothing wrong with coming up with some guidelines saying, hey, you know what, we'd like you to be involved in our visitation and soul winning. And so these are some of the guidelines. You may not understand it all, but what we ask is when you go soul winning, when you go visiting, do this. All right, you may not understand it, but we'd like to teach you and have you grow. Because some of it is you're introducing those topics to them too. All right, how are they going to learn? Okay, then from the idea of visiting or being a soul winner, hey, then there's another level. And what is that level? It's let's now be a little more involved in the church. Would you be interested in helping out in a Sunday school or maybe in our nurseries or something like that? Well, I know we talked about this, but then there's another step. Okay? Then it might be they hear the choir and they like singing. All right? So what about that? What does it take to do that? Some of those things have to be introduced to people. It doesn't just happen. So you have to bring them along. So all of this kind of ties together. And it takes somebody working with them, and in some ways, all right, that discipler, as we mentioned, they're kind of a parent. And it is not saying that you have to do all of it. It might be that some of the lessons, what you will find is they will get, this person that you're discipling will start having a pretty close attachment to you. You're not trying to do that. What you want them is attached to Christ, and you want them attached to the body of Christ, and that's the church. But there will be an attachment to you. Why? Well, it's just like, are you attached to your parents? A little bit. All right, not really. It would be really creepy if you were like, hooked on them. All right, but that's kind of odd. But there is, you kind of like them. All right, they're okay. Okay, so yes, there's a little bit of attachment. All right, more than just some guy off the street. Yeah, there's hopefully so. Hopefully there's a little stronger attachment. Well, why is that? Well, because they brought you into the world. They have fed you. They've clothed you. They've paid for a lot of things. Yeah, there's a little bit of an attachment there. Well, in the same way, when you disciple somebody, that person that's being discipled is going to have a little fonder attachment. Why is that? Well, because you're doing a lot, and as they grow in the Lord, they start understanding what you're doing, and they appreciate that, and that's a good thing. But as a person that's in charge of that, what are you trying to do? Well, some of what you're trying to do is get them to learn a bunch of these things but somebody else, you may bring somebody else in. That's pretty good. Let's say that somebody's really good at studying the Bible, or you're going to be gone for a little bit. Hey, do you mind if so-and-so will come by over the next month and help you out with this Bible study? That's good for them too. It's good for them to introduce them to other members of the church and somebody else. We all know this. Sometimes somebody else saying the same exact thing, all of a sudden they're like, wow, I've never heard that. You're like, I've been teaching that to you for the last 4 weeks. Right? But it's just sometimes somebody else has a different way of saying it. So our job is then to work at getting them, bringing them along, then eventually being a established member of that church and plugged into the church, so that then what are they doing? They are soul winning, visiting. Then we bring them along to where they hopefully understand biblically the standards and the separation. They're starting to understand that. It's starting to sink in. And then pretty soon, they can be a Sunday school teacher. They can be somebody that is heading up something in the church. That's the whole goal. That's the whole goal of discipleship. And then, what can they do? They can disciple somebody. That's the ultimate goal. Then they do it. Because then I can go and find somebody else. And that's the beauty of what we call multiplication. It's not just one-on-one all the time. If I only am attached to this one person, basically it's the two of us. That's it. But if I can bring them along, and then we can separate, and both of us are soul winning and discipling, pretty soon then, all right, there's other people involved. And we've spread out enough that, hey, in the course of, like I said, it might take a while, but as, you know, yes, this is a little bit, but is it possible to maybe have a couple people that you're discipling at the same time? Probably. Because not everybody's going to be at the same levels. Some people are going to just attach themselves and be quick learners. Some people, because of their background, they've grown up reading the Bible off and on. They're going to know some things, and they just kind of progress a lot faster. Well, they're great. And so here's a couple of people. What are we doing? We're multiplying ourselves then. And then what you're trying to do is get them to understand soul winning and discipling so that they are doing it. And that's the idea of multiplication. That's what we're trying to accomplish. And will there be people that say, forget it? Yes. Because we saw that with Christ. But did Christ stop? No, he didn't stop. He kept going. And even in the church in Acts, all through the Pauline epistles, what do you see him doing? You see him working and working, going someplace, establishing a church, working with those people. And then even those letters, what were those letters in some ways? That was discipling them. He spent sometimes 6 months with them, sometimes a year or so, and then he's writing them saying, hey, you know what? I've heard about this. Let's try to correct some of these things. He was working on discipling, and even so, in the letters sometimes, what do we see? He sends people. You read about, hey, so-and-so is coming to see you. All right, listen to him. He's going to be bringing the letter, and more than likely, from what it seems, and those of you that have studied some of that era, all right, these guys went and they spent time with that church helping these believers grow. That's part of our job. Our job is not just to lead someone to the Lord and then to be like, yeah, oh, great, another notch. All right. No, then I've got to see them grow in the Lord. And that's hard. It takes effort, as you're seeing, as we're just trying to go through it. Why, as I have studied it and worked on it, you know, I found a lot of people have some workbooks, but a lot of people don't talk a lot of what we're talking about because, as you know, as you're going through it, it's a lot of time. It is. But somebody put a lot of time into you. And you know that. They put a lot of time, and obviously you don't think of all the problems you caused, but you did. Okay? That person probably wanted to punch you, throw knives at you, shoot you, do a lot of ill will towards you, and they didn't, okay? They wanted to poison you, lots of different things, all right? But they didn't. Why? Because, you know what? God worked on them and said, no, keep at it. Help them come along. I know that they fell here, and I know that they're not reading their Bible like they should here, and I know that they're not doing this. But we just keep at it, and we keep at it, and we keep at it. And understanding that if we can tie them to God and the Holy Spirit, if they start understanding, that's why some of the lessons are on the Holy Spirit. If they start understanding that the Holy Spirit is there when you're not, and He convicts them. He says, no, you shouldn't be doing that. They can't get away from Him. And He will help them to grow.